It was nearly midnight when the van finally turned off the cracked asphalt and onto a narrow dirt path. Fog clung to the road like a living thing, and the trees loomed over them, their branches clawing at the windows. There were 5 of them friends since college on, a spontaneous weekend trip to a forgotten place. None of them had ever heard of until 2 weeks ago. Grey Hill, a ghost town whispered about in obscure internet forums. No official history, no GPS coordinates, just a handful of eerie posts from people who claimed to have seen it, or escaped from it. Selin sat in the front seat, eyes glued to the printed map on her lap. "We should be close," she said, though her voice lacked certainty. Mert was driving, usually the jokester of the group. He was now uncharacteristically quiet, fingers tightening around the wheel. In the back sat Emra, Berna, and Nissan. Berna was filming everything with her handheld camera. "This place is going to blow up online," she grinned. "Urban legends, creepy buildings, and us." Instant hit. Nissan barely looked out the window. Her fingers trembled slightly, though she said nothing. The town emerged from the fog like a bruise beneath pale skin. No streetlights, no cars, no animals. Just crooked wooden buildings, rusting signs, and shattered windows, staring like dead eyes. Everything was still. "Are we sure anyone ever lived here?" Emra asked. They chose an abandoned school building near the town center to stay in. Inside, dust covered everything. Yet oddly, some things looked recent. A chair placed neatly, a candle stub, a coat still hanging by the door. They brushed it off. That night, they slept in the old gymnasium. Berna set up her camera on a tripod, leaving it to record in night vision, just in case something fun happens. She smirked. The creaking of the wooden walls and distant tapping made it hard to sleep. Around 2 a.m., Selin awoke to the sound of a telephone ringing, but there were no phones in the building. She sat up. Nissan was already awake, sitting upright, eyes locked on the dark ceiling. "You hear that?" Selin whispered. Nissan nodded slowly. "It's starting." By morning, Berna was gone. Her sleeping bag was still zipped, but she wasn't in it. Her camera was lying on its side. Mert picked it up and rewound the footage. Everyone gathered around as the screen flickered to life. The video showed Berna sleepwalking around 3:13 a.m. She moved slowly, deliberately, toward the basement door. She opened it and disappeared into the dark. Then the screen filled with static. A brief flash, something behind her, tall and motionless, then nothing. "Guys, what the hell is that?" Emra whispered. Nobody answered. Emra insisted on going down to the basement. "I'll just check it out. 10 minutes tops." He never came back. Selin and Nissan found only a smear of blood on the wall, and his phone, still recording. The audio played on loop. "Do you hear it too? They're calling your name." They searched the town for answers. In the ruins of the old town hall, Selin and Nissan found locked drawers and rotting folders. Inside were yellowed pages describing a group known as the Order of Silence. A cult. They believed that sound carried sin, that voices were weapons, that to preserve purity, one must surrender speech and sacrifice those who refused. The records ended in 1987 with one final entry. 4 were taken, 1 escaped. The silence was broken. "He will return." Nissan turned pale. "I was here," she whispered. When I was a kid, she had repressed it for years. But now the memories bled back, rituals in candlelight, chanting, screaming, and then nothing. She had run, and now she had returned. That night, Selin heard scratching from the walls, and whispering, dozens of voices, speaking at once, in languages she couldn't understand. She pressed her ear to the cold concrete. Someone on the other side whispered, "Let me out." Nissan told her the truth. The cult had summoned something. A spirit born of suppressed screams and buried guilt. They called it the Shadow Man. He watched from darkness, and when no one speaks to resist him, he enters, one by one. They had one hope, a reversal ritual hidden in the cult's oldest book. If they spoke the names of the sacrifice loudly, clearly the silence could be shattered. But it required one of them to become a vessel, to take the silence into themselves. Nissan stepped forward. "He's here because of me," she said. "Let me finish it." Selin begged her not to. But Nissan simply smiled. "If I forget who I am, scream it for me." Then she walked into the basement and closed the door. Selin performed the ritual. She spoke every name she had found in the cult records, her voice rising, trembling. The walls howled. The shadow man emerged, all featureless, vibrating with a soundless scream. But as the names echoed through the building, his form began to shatter. With one final scream, Selen shouted Nissan's name. Light. Silence. Collapse. The next morning, Selen walked back to the van, alone. The town had crumbled. Buildings now lay in ruins. The fog had lifted, but the world felt wrong to quiet. She turned on the radio, static, then a whisper. One voice spoke, but one remained silent in the rearview mirror. Her eyes had turned black, and somewhere, beneath the skin of the world, silence stirred again.